before we move on around here, I'm definitely going to read up on some stuff. But first, let's look into the squad menu. We can get to Miranda, Jacob, yada yada yada. Could be like, oh, with the left and right stuff you can select that. Okay, very interesting. Anyway, so Jakey, what is his stuff? Miranda, what's her things? Overload, Warp, Cerberus, Officer, and Slam. Then we got like Pull, Incendiary, Armor, Cerberus, Operative, and Barrier. Overload and Warp. Kind of like a Sentinel almost. I don't quite know what her whole ability mix is, but yeah, squad points 8. Ah, they're called squad points, but they should be called power points or something else. But squad points kind of means that it's points for the whole team, for the whole squad. And you can, this is actually a very interesting idea. You get points for the whole team, and you can either spread them out and give everyone a few points, so then they are evenly spread, or focus all of your upgrades on one character and let the others just remain at level 1, which would be a very interesting idea, but I don't know how you would explain that to players. You need some kind of like combined experience pool or something like that. That would allow for that. Very interesting. Or maybe you would just make the upgrades possible with certain items that you could find, and then it kind of makes sense that you can only get certain abilities or upgrades or whatever, because you have to spend upgrades, like upgrade material on the characters, so there's always some kind of limit and you have to focus it. That's actually a really interesting idea. It would, yeah, it would kind of move, it would also force people to explore everything, right? Because there could be upgrade materials somewhere. Anyway, so, but this is not what we have right now. So we got Pull, which is a nice interaction. 9 seconds, it's actually very long. The duration, it doesn't matter what the duration is. I'm much more interested in the recharge time for all of this. So we got a heavy pull. Your levitation ability keeps your target suspended for longer, which is good, but no. Affects all nearby targets, suspending entire groups in the air. This is good. I don't care about how long the enemy is suspended, I just care about like the effectiveness of the thing and how often I can do it. If I have to fight a ton of enemies, or if I have to pull one target multiple times, then it would be nicer to have a lower cooldown, or like some kind of field upgrade. I mean, the same thing would also be somewhat true if the duration is there for longer, like this one over here. But this is only useful against one target. Let's say you use pull on one target, it stays in the air for 9 seconds, and then you can recharge it, and you can reuse the ability again because of all of this. Kind of makes sense. But anyway, this is pull. Incendiary arrow. Incendiary arrow. Arrow? Ammo. Burns through armor sets, enemies on fire, and damages health. I hope it damages health. That's the whole idea of it. And burns and wounds organic target. Wait a minute, what about? Okay, so recharge time 1.5 seconds, which is actually very quick. But the thing is, you wait. The team does not have ammunition problems. Only Shepard has ammunition problems. This is why it is very useful to not play only on weapons, but rather use abilities most of the time, and let your companions do the weapon work. Conveniently, this is exactly what or coincidentally, it's exactly what I like to play as. I'm more of the support and ability user, and just let Jacob and Miranda do their thing, or like any other teammates. And I'm just the beneficiary. Right. So what do we got? Blocking health regeneration, damaging armor, and making unshielded enemies panic. Oh, unshielded, that's the important bit. Synthetic enemies are more resistant to fire damage. So this is a biological weapon. Duration lasts until overridden by another ammo power. That's very interesting. That is actually... Wait. Fire damage, 20% of weapon damage. This is very interesting. So you activate it, and then you benefit the whole time from it, and then you can switch to another one. This is cool. It's basically like using one mod on a weapon, but then switch to another mod in combat, so you don't have to open up the inventory. It's a different way to use different ammunition. But the fact that you can use it all the time and keep it active forever pretty much is a very good idea. Okay, duration. This is really important. You actually, once you know that, then you... I actually thought that this is a special thing and you just don't use it all the time. But no, you can actually benefit a lot. Fire damage, 30% of weapon damage over 3 seconds. This is like the burn that happens constantly. 40%. Okay, so more damage, more better. The duration is always the same. And what about this one? Inferno ammo. An explosive charge spreads the ammunition's payload to impact, potentially igniting the target and all nearby enemies. Sounds like fun. Squad incendiary ammo. Oh, your entire squad gains the effect of your incendiaries, allowing you to spread pain and panic in a very literal crossfire. Okay, so this is a way to let the whole squad obviously benefit from the ammo power. And also, let's say you focus everything on this ability, then you don't need another character with ammo power, because you already have ammo for that. Now the real question is, what would be better? Having two characters, both of them with maxed ammo powers, but of different kind of ammos, right? So let's say you have a flash thing, like the fire stuff, and then you have cryo ammo. Like, no, cryoblast is an ability, it's not ammo, isn't it? Yeah, this is an ability, not ammo. I don't have ammo abilities, why not? Ah, come on. Okay, anyway. So, yeah. Should I increase the damage of one character, or should I increase the damage of all the characters? Questions upon questions, because if I do, then I spend an awful lot of points in order to upgrade it. That's number one. But the whole team would benefit from it. Therefore, I don't... Yeah, this is the thing. The whole team benefits from it. But if I spread up the abilities a little bit, then I have more variety, and maybe they can... Yeah, use their abilities more often in combat and get more useful there. Okay, so Cerberus operatives, how does this work? Boosts Jacob's combat skills, weapon damage, and health. Sounds like fun. It's a passive thing, kind of. Health plus 10, weapon damage plus 6, plus 12, so it goes up by 6 and 10 all the time. And then you have Cerberus veteran and specialist. Increases Jacob's health and increases Jacob's weapon damage. More than this. The exact numbers, sadly, are not displayed here, which is a little bit iffy. You have to look at this into in the wiki itself. But yeah, it's always nice to have the information right on your fingertips instead. Anyway, barrier locked. A squad member is not loyal. Oh, loyalty abilities. Okay, this is also a way to know if the character is loyal or not. Because this comes in handy later, much later. But yeah, this is important. Creates a shield that soaks huge amounts of damage. The barrier. Why don't I have the barrier? Why don't I have a barrier and tech armor at the same time? That would be amazing. Anyway, creates a mass effect shield that lasts a few seconds and can absorb a large amount of damage. Oh, the tech armor is permanent, by the way, whereas this one is there for a minute and you have to constantly recharge it. Shield strength plus 25% of maximum shields. Again, shield. Wait. This one says barrier and health. And this one has a shield and health. And this one also has a shield and health. So because he's a biotic, he does not have a normal Mass Effect shield. He has a barrier shield. It's just labeled differently. But that's actually very interesting. The thing is, it says shield strength plus 50% of maximum shields. He has no maximum shields because it's labeled barrier. So we don't get anything by definition. So anyway, what is the choosing thing? Heavy barrier increases strength of barrier to absorb more damage. That's good. Increases duration of barrier. Okay. So what do you want? Oh yeah, wait. I have to look into the cooldown, how this works in this game, because I said this before, like Mass Effect 1 has split cooldowns or separate cooldowns. Each ability has its own cooldown and recharges individually, whereas in here you have a shared cooldown, and the cooldown is the amount of time it takes for the used ability to recharge again. Therefore, if you use an ability that has like 3 seconds, every other ability also takes 3 seconds of cooldown to recharge. If you use an ability that has 12 seconds cooldown, you have to wait 12 seconds on every other ability. The thing is, I don't quite know if this is true. I have to test this in combat. Actually, we don't have to test this in combat. Let's see. I have a throw. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 seconds. Okay. So it's a shared cooldown, which is not cool. This is not the reason why I used the Sentinel. Something to keep in mind. But I wanted to use the Sentinel because he has an overload of abilities. Overload, well, yes. And then I actually wanted to spam the abilities. But I cannot spam the abilities if we have something like this. Which means I cannot play the way I wanted. In this case, it would be better to have a more aggressive character, maybe. And focus on the amount of damage. Like, this is a different way of playing. This is a different way of spending points. What I mean by this is that you cannot use like throw and warp at the same time. Or maybe because one of it is a... No, this is a biotic ability. This is a... But tech armor has a... What was the cooldown again? 12 seconds? I said 15, but I think I didn't count that quickly. Whatever. But yeah. Recharge time 12 seconds. And this is 3 seconds. So that means that it's more important to have a powerful ability that you can use all the time. That you can spam pretty much. And not have an awful lot of abilities. Power armor greatly increases the armor strength and provides a damage bonus to all powers while the armor is active. Okay, this is also something to keep in mind. If we can only get the ability active every now and then, meaning like you have to use the ability, and then you don't want the next use of an ability to be the same thing again. What I mean by this is we use the tech armor and then we use another ability. We don't want to use the second ability to also be tech armor because it ran out of strength points, right? Because that means that we cannot use other abilities like throw, warp, or whatever. That means in order to get the largest variety, we have to focus on strength of the ability itself, and to keep it active, if it is a like buff like this one, for as long as possible. We do not want variety. It's kind of cool to have variety stuff in here. What I mean by this is, let's say, assault armor greatly increases the effect of the energy pulse, which is like the damage that comes when the armor gets destroyed, increasing its damage force and radius. Also provides a shield boost when the armor gets destroyed. Like, okay, this is good. So the armor gets destroyed, we get a shield boost, fine. Power armor greatly increases the armor's strength. That's good. And provides a damage bonus to all powers while the armor is active. So this one would mean we activate it, and any other ability that we have gets better because of this. And also because this thing increases the armor stays active for longer, and we don't have to use that ability constantly, and we can actually use other abilities because of this. Of course, we don't have to get, we shouldn't try to get shot all the time, but this is something different. Then what about the Defender? Evolve Defender into one of the following options. Further reduces power recharging time and increases paragon slightly reduces power recharging and increases the damage inflicted by your weapon. So, yeah, this is actually... Yeah, I said something about like making the abilities stronger so you get the most use of them, right? And increase the damage inflicted by your powers. It says the damage inflicted by your powers. So this one only increases the potency of aggressive abilities, and this one would not increase the amount of shielding that we get from tech armor, for example. The only thing that we would really benefit from would be the power recharge. I'm gonna go for this one instead, in order to make this more usable in the long run. I kind of like the whole, once it gets destroyed it goes boom and we get additional damage, because this means we don't have to shoot anything. Also something to keep in mind. Okay, what about the overload thing? Recharge time 6 seconds and throw was 3 seconds. So you could either use one overload or you could use 2 throws. What are you gonna choose, right? This is a thing that's just a little bit annoying. So we could either attack one enemy. Okay, you have like a little bit of AoE probably, but yeah, you could either attack one enemy every 6 seconds, or you could attack one enemy twice, or 2 enemies within 6 seconds with throw. So what's better? In this case, what would be better would not be the heavy fling. We don't want heavy fling for this one. What we want is to get as many people in the air as possible. So we really want an AoE throw on this one, throw field. So that we can use another ability on them, so that we get the most variety of it. Huh. Okay. Very interesting. But in both cases, we could just spam throw fields and just lift everyone up twice within like 3 seconds or whatever. That's actually a very good idea. Well, it's not pull, it's throw. But anyway, if we knock them off the feet, then we can just execute them on the ground. That should be okay. So, then we got warp, right? Detonates any biotic powers already affecting it, such as pull or singularity. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. This is the thing that interacts with it. So you want to use pull and then you want to use warp. The thing is, warp... once we use throw, they are already getting pushed away, so... fling a single enemy with unparalleled force, momentum switching against walls with hurricane force. You must do if body throw allows you to hurl multiple targets into the air simultaneously. We are going for AoE for this one. Just swoosh everything down. Mass effect field damages enemy targets and stops health regeneration. Detonates biotic, detonation force, and a little bit of damage. Your warp damage is hugely increased, which is good, because we can only use it every 6 seconds. Instead, warp increases the blast radius when warp detonates biotic effects. Increases the blast radius, meaning we hit multiple targets with this. But now comes the question: do we want to hit multiple targets, or do we want to hit one target heavier? Your warp damage is hugely increased. So this is a single target thing, and this is multi-target thing. Multi-targets are going to be targeted with easy abilities like throw, and heavy targets are targeted, of course, with like evolve warp and something like that. So we are going to use high-level single-target spells or abilities like this one, together with low-level AoE kind of abilities like throw. That could work. And tech armor just stays there so that we stay alive. I don't know if I should get the AoE on this one or not, depending on my playstyle though. Alright. You fire an electromagnetic pulse that inflicts massive damage on shields and synthetic enemies. Recharge time 6 seconds. So we can either choose to use the warp or to get this one. Overload overload now briefly stuns synthetic foes if the target resistance are down. Massive. What's this one? Weapon overheat. Okay, this is another ability on it, and now also has the capability to overheat enemy weapons. So you can use warp in connection with other bio abilities. Effective against armor and biotic barriers. Very special. And what is this one actually good against? Punishes. There we go. Shields and synthetic. Shield, and this is armor and biotic stuff. So there are two different shieldings in here. So depending on what kind of enemy we are targeting, we should choose either warp or overload. That's the important bit. So that means, because both of those are enemy dependent, we are going to focus on probably not area overload. I mean, area overload might be kind of useful, yes, but in this case we should rather go for heavy overload in order to get the best ability for a certain enemy. Greatly increases overload damage, destabilizes synthetic enemies, causing them to explode when damaged. Yeah, this is just AoE, yeah. So, Warp gets single target bonus, Overload gets single target bonus, and depending on what kind of enemy we are fighting against, we're going to choose specific ones. Now, what about this one? Recharge time 4.5 seconds, so your Omni tool fires a mass of super cool subatomic particle capable of snap freezing impacted targets. Sure. Freeze duration 3 seconds. Recharge time 4 seconds. So that means we cannot permanently freeze them all the time. It has a little bit of AoE, but only 1.2 meters, which means they have to stand very close together. This one here, wait a minute, there you go. At level 3, we can actually continuously cryoblast them, which is good. But what about this one? Evolve into one of the following. Full cryoblast. This cryo weapon spray is engineered to maximize your chance of freezing multiple targets, which is good because then we can use other abilities in the meantime. Deep cryo freeze, the blast potency and freeze duration are nearly unmatched by any other cryogenic weapon. I have no idea what the bonus is. I have to look into the wiki for that. Actually, yeah, let's just really look into the wiki right now. That might be very nice. So, I need to wiki. I need the abilities. Abilities, yada yada yada, powers, and cryo something, cryoblast. So, how does it end up? Full cryoblast. Increases your chance of freezing multiple targets. Recharge time is 4.5 seconds, the same on both, by the way. Impact radius is 3 meters, so it's basically twice as much. And freeze duration is 5 seconds, which is the same as before. And the other one is freeze duration of 7 seconds. Yeah, no, the real question is, do you want to shock frost like multiples or not? Because at the same time, you also have your throw ability, which is there to take out multiple targets. So I think you should rather go for a freeze duration of 7 seconds on a single target, and use throw on everything that's like multi-target related. Okay, questions upon questions upon questions. Right, so we got also Jacob, right? Cerberus stuff, yada yada. Special ingredients of weapon damage. Barrier increases duration of the barrier, sure. The squad incendiary armor is good. An explosive charge spreads the ammunition's payload on impact, potentially igniting the target and all nearby enemies. I mean, if he gets that, and he has some kind of AoE capabilities on his weapons, then we would be fine. You don't need to have multiple like, this is basically the same thing. Either the team shoots and ignites each enemy individually, or Jacob shoots and the ignition spreads. So that's that. Yeah, the real question is evolved incendiary armor. What are the stats on this one? Not incinerate, incendiary armor. There you go. Ammo powers, incendiary. Right. Okay, what's the bonus here? Lasts until overridden by another ability, which is the useful bit. Inferno is the fire damage a little higher, Very nice. Yeah, Inferno just deals more damage. And it can spread. Which is something very, 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 very nice. But when does it spread? Explosive charge spreads the ammunition pellet on impact. On impact, so the target does not need to die for it to work. Okay, so we're going for Inferno ammo on him, and he can just activate it, deal more damage. But the thing is, if you have this one and let the whole group benefit from this, you get like 40% bonus. Very interesting. And if you have a character like ourselves over here, we don't have weapon abilities, so we would benefit from this. Yeah, we would benefit from this. So everybody gets a 40% upgrade, or Jacob gets a 60% upgrade. And it spreads. Huh. Okay, wait a minute. But if we use abilities constantly, then, and no weapons, then that means that it doesn't matter if our weapons deal more damage because we are using abilities. So we don't need a shared ability, and it would be better for Jacob to just deal more damage on his ability that spreads on the enemies. Right. So Jacob gets... Everybody's abilities just get maxed out individually. I think this is the key idea here. Focus on strength of the ability and not on funny things of the ability. The funny stuff is the cool stuff, but the thing is, the way the cooldown works in this game just stops this from making any good sense, which is a little bit iffy. Alright. Right. Pull field. Affected all nearby targets, suspending entire groups in the air. Yeah, levitation ability keeps the target suspended for longer. I mean, if I... Oh, yeah. If I use Evolved Pull on a target, and then I use the throw thing on a target, and both of them are field abilities, then that means I can take out groups of enemies very quickly, just with two specific abilities. The incendiary ammo, yeah, it's kind of cool and all, but yeah, that's good. Evolved Cerberus Operative. Yeah, what about this one? Biotic abilities, passive, loyalty powers, Cerberus abilities, mercenary veteran maybe? No, it's not it. Almost. Cerberus Operative. This is the one. Jacob Taylor, yes. Okay. So, grants an extra bonus to Jacob's health. Good. Greatly increases Jacob's weapon. Greatly. Yeah, sure. Just an additional somewhat 6-ish% as always. And one additional point in order to get a flat 25%. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So you basically get the increase of the previous levels. Just in this case, you get just one. So this one here, this one, to this one, is a 10% and a 6%. And the next one would be either 10 or 6. You don't get both, which is a little iffy, right? You spend 4 points, but only get a little bit of it. So do you want to spend the points on this in order to get a good use out of it? I don't think so. Yeah, you shouldn't waste your points on this stuff because the previous levels are more important. Like the 1, 2, and 3. And the other 4 points you should put on anything else but, I think. Huh. This is kind of stupid. I actually would have liked the health or weapon bonuses to be greater than that. Like, let's say this is like 30. And the next one is not 10, but like 20 additional points, so you end up with health plus 50%. And this one would be not 7% or like 6, like this one to this one, but rather 12%, so you end up with 30% weapon damage. And this is the focus. So both, one of them but greater, right? That would be a good choice for it instead of that. Huh. Ah, this is mean. This is so mean. I would have liked to upgrade that, but only if we actually got like some points left there. Okay, so we got like 2, 3, and 4 points. I got 8 squad points on him, so that means we can get like 5 and 3. 5 and 3 means we can get Cerberus Operatives 1 and Incendiary Armor 2. Okay. So we also already get the pull ability, right? The recharge time is always the same, and if we interact with it and detonate it with the throw ability, then we are kind of good. Or can we actually do that? No, wait a minute. No. Umbrella force. No, wait a minute. The detonation happens with warp and not with pull. I actually wanted to use throw and... No, okay, good. I thought it would be pull and throw and not warp, but alright. So we have to use pull and warp at the same time. Right. This one just makes his numbers a little bit better, which is okay. But I shouldn't focus any points on here. It would rather be better for him to just get better incendiary armor and whatnot. This is the loyalty stuff that happens later. We can't really use it. The whole thing for the pull field also happens later. If we have enough squad points, I'm just gonna rush and get the pull field. I'm not gonna choose the previous two abilities because they don't really matter. I would rather go for incendiary armor on this one. Alright, so we got that. And then we're gonna keep the other 3 points. Maybe? I mean, I could just go for Cerberus, this bonus and this bonus to deal even more damage. I could also just go and get like a pull bonus up here and a little bit of bonus up here. So I spent all the points. But I don't want to... Yeah, we're gonna let the points be right now. We're gonna choose later. Once I get enough points, I'm gonna maximize incendiary armor, and then I'm gonna choose something else. If I choose something right now... I mean, I could choose at least Cerberus Powers 1 or something, because I get 2 points every level up, I believe. But I don't want to jinx it. Alright, so... About Miranda's abilities, finally. So, Overload, similar to our Overload and Warp abilities, they are kind of the same thing. Additional massive damage, yada yada. Synthetic and shields, that's the focus of it. And Warp is the same thing with biotic abilities. So she's kind of like the Sentinel in this case, similar to our abilities. Yeah, similar to our abilities. What do we focus on? She has Warp and Overload already. That means I can use Warp, like her Warp, together with Jacob's Pull ability. So those two have a nice synergy, and I don't need to do that. I can just focus on... what are my abilities? I can use Throw, and I can use Tech Armor. Yeah. I should use Cryo Blast, I believe. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Let's freeze everything. I mean, I could at least get the Overload 1 up here so I can deal a little better damage, but yeah. I would rather have like split cooldowns and not just combined cooldowns, whatever. So, we got Overload a little bit. I cannot max everything out. I can get like 1 to level 3 or whatever. The... weapon overheat is kind of cool and all, but right. So what do we got here? Miranda's training increases her health and weapon damage, and her technical expertise gives a combat bonus to the entire squad. Oh, this is good. Entire squad bonuses. All the time. Weapon damage plus 6... Wait. Squad health plus 2. Squad weapon damage plus 2.5. It's basically half of her personal bonuses. Does she benefit from her own squad bonuses? Or is the squad bonus just for anyone else except for her? That strength increases her health and weapon damage, and her technical expertise gives a combat bonus to the entire squad. It says entire squad. Does the entire squad also mean her as well, or not? Cerberus Officer. Let's just look at this. Cerberus Officer. There. Each rank, once you have chosen, grants an extra weapon damage bonus to Miranda, sure. Yeah. Wait, what? Miranda squad. And then grants an extra health bonus to Miranda squad. Okay. In this case, the health damage and the weapon damage is for the squad, but I don't know if she actually benefits from her own bonuses or not. But yeah. Same thing, like those two. Increase Miranda's squad leadership abilities, giving an increased combat bonus to squad weapon damage. Increase Amanda's defensive tactical abilities, giving an increased bonus to squad health. I actually have to tell, like, before we have to save, look at her health, get that bonus, and then see if it changes or not. And then we know if squad health also includes her own health or not. Very important. And Slam, a very funny ability, because you can play basketball with the enemies, pretty much. A biotic body slam that inflicts massive damage. A very funny ability. Biotically lift the target and slams them to the ground. In one quick swoosh, it lifts and it throws them to the ground. You don't need a nice connection with it. You can just use it as is, which is very interesting. I thought you could, you would actually need to lift them first, but alright. So, basically lift the target and slams them on the ground. So, recharge time 9 seconds, lift duration 0.9 seconds, and slam force 400. So, the idea is for them to not fly in the air for too long. The actual damage just happens from the newtons. Alright, what about this one? Evolve slam. Heavy slam greatly increases slam force after lifting target. So, this number goes higher. I expect this one to be like somewhere at the 700 or so. Crippling slam improves brief slam incapacitation, meaning the lift duration gets higher probably. Evolved slam, slam. Biotic powers slam there. What do we got? Recharge time 9 seconds is always 9 seconds, or 3 seconds for Shepherd. Very interesting. Our abilities are always better. So, incapacitate enemies by hitting their vulnerable spots. Cripple duration. Wait, there's actually an additional timer that appears on them. The lift duration is 1.3 seconds, right? Similar to the previous 1.3 seconds. But then there's a cripple duration that happens at the same time. So there's a different effect that happens. Interesting. And the previous one is not 700, but rather 800, which is a much higher increase. The way I actually want to have those special choices be, that's actually very nice. Okay, so having a Cerberus officer just give me bonus weapon damage and squad damage and whatnot. It's actually kind of useful. But yeah, 10% bonus weapon damage. Is it actually important? Like, this is the thing. Weapon damage, yes, but only on the team because they do not depend on ammunition. Health also makes them stay alive for longer, but if they have shielding, it doesn't matter how much health they have because it's the shields that are most important, right? So, shield can be ignored as long as health can be ignored as long as there's enough shielding or barrier. Weapon damage can be ignored if you don't use weapons. So this is a nice bonus on paper, but maybe it can be ignored just because. If you play it right, you don't need it. You can just use abilities constantly. So it looks as if Mass Effect 2 is not a weapon game, but the thing is, compared to Mass Effect 1, which was a weapon game, Mass Effect 2 is an ability game. Because not only does the weapon get limited by ammunition, the first one was more about like timing because of the overheat, but this one here limits because of the ammunition that you have, or like cooling thingies or whatever, but effectively it is ammunition. Yeah, but in this case, the abilities would be more important, I would say. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, in the previous game, you were shooting an awful lot. And when you were not shooting, you were using abilities. But the abilities themselves weren't... Well, they were kind of strong, yes, but the weapons were pretty much as strong. So it was like your own choice if you would either use abilities or if you would use weapons. But in here, you can focus on abilities or weapons. But because weapons are limited by ammunition, your bonuses could be nullified effectively. Huh, but only if you yourself use weapons. Because at one point, I actually ended up having... I just remember that. I ended up having no ammunition at all. Which means I handled it not in the bestest of ways, and shooting somewhere where the enemy is not wastes ammunition, surely. But, yeah, in this case, having ammunition, having abilities would be the better choice altogether. Alright. Okay, so we are going for what? Overload and warp. Overload and warp. Yeah, we're just going to let them be ability people, and I'm going to give them the weapon bonuses once I have enough abilities available, or like SWAT points available. But before that, I'm going to focus on abilities. And let them do their thing this way. Right. And in order to get the most use of the abilities, I'm going to use one that has very little cooldown, which both of those don't. So this is 12 seconds and this is 12 seconds. So what are we going to use? I could go like 2 and 2 makes 4 and 1 3, and I have like officer bonus 1. Do I want to waste all of those points, or do I want to get like slam bonuses at least? Would be funny, but I don't have that yet. In this case, what would be nice? To have like a maximum of a certain ability over here. And because I can use... Wait a minute. I have warp and a little bit of overload. Actually, I don't have overload. Neither do I have overload, nor do I have warp. But I could get the opposite thing, and Miranda gets the other thing. And then we could benefit each other. And he just gets the incendiary stuff. We just have to wait. So... Let's see. Okay. Armor and by... Wait. What's this kind? Synthetic enemies are more resistant to fire damage. Yes. Damaging armor and making unshielded enemies panic. Damaging armor. Okay. So incendiary armor is armor shred. Warp is armor and biotic shred. So that means we could give her overload and make it more potent this way. Your warp damage is hugely increased. Increases the blast radius when warp detonates biotic effects. Yeah, that's kind of cool, but no. I'm gonna give her overload abilities. Right. And then what about this one compared to that? That's 400. I mean, I could give her 2 points. But yeah, I'm not gonna give her any other points. I'm gonna keep the stuff here as best as I can. I'm gonna save, and now we have spent a decent amount of points, and hopefully this works out somewhat fine. Right. I also wanted to read a few codex entries just because, so let's just see if we have more. Oh, we have more primary codex entries. Let's just look at that. Organization, the Illusive Man.
The reclusive tycoon calling himself the Illusive Man is a human nationalist focused on advancing human interests, whatever the cost to non-humans. The Citadel Council regards him as a fanatic, posing a serious threat to galactic security. A mysterious maverick, to say the least, the Illusive Man heads the Cerberus network. Dubbed the Elusive Empire by investigators, Cerberus is an allegedly untraceable syndicate of private intelligence agencies, biotics laboratories, engineering and scientific research teams, and lucrative front companies. Branded a terrorist and seditionist organization by authorities, Cerberus is the only human power base other than the Terra Firma Party, strong enough to embarrass, if not threaten, the Council and its human representatives.
Interesting. Also, his eyes are somewhat strange there as well. There's some light happening there, coming out of it. Planets and locations.
Freedom's Progress colony was once a typical Alliance settlement, but following complete communications blackout and its apparent destruction, is now a lightning rod for anxiety and dread in the galactic human community. The communications blackout followed an upgrade of the colony's small military force, supplemented by mechs and security drones, with high-powered, tower-mounted Guardian lasers. Colonists complained about construction cost overruns, delays, noise, and damage to the local environment. They also feared the defense array could be seen as provocative to their world's neighbors. Such fears may not have been baseless. Authorities have still offered no explanation for the communications blackout, fueling rumors of plagues, natural disasters, or a cult-inspired mass suicide. Located in strategically insignificant space, Freedom's Progress colony had once offered residents spectacular rainbows, lush marshlands, and stunning mountain ranges. Its potential as an agricultural settlement and tourism wonderland rivaled that of any Alliance colony.
Huh, and now it's not anymore. Very interesting. Good. We also have probably a few secondary ones, but didn't I read all of the... No, not all of the council races. The secondary stuff is something for later. Right, let's just hope I don't get that much primary stuff. Just because. Alright, let's end the episode right now and continue exploring Freedom's Progress. Why do I not have any maps in here? Like, you have a map selection. Why can't I just get that? Jesus. Alright. Anyway. Like and subscribe as usual. And let's just return.
0 contacts.
Ta-ta.